Hey, should we get on to the next part of this conversation? Should we grab Byron and bring him in and have a bit of a chat about what's been going on in the last couple of hours?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Let's do that.
Kia ora.
Hey, kia ora, Byron. Welcome to the show, brother.
Kia ora. Thank you for having me
Right.
on.
No, always welcome, always welcome. Let us set this up as to what happened and what I saw. I'm going to follow the process through, and then we're going to talk about it. Just to explain to people who are joining us tonight, and there are a lot of you, I can see it, who may not have heard the full situation yet. So, this tweet was going around Twitter tonight from Mark Dolder, who is, I think, to do with Newsroom, senior political reporter at Newsroom New Zealand, covering COVID, climate change, far-right extremism, and misinfo. He put out a tweet tonight asking about the claims that were going around that Counterspin host Kelvyn Alp and Hannah Spierer had been arrested and have just been he was just pointed to this public statement. Counterspin ran excerpts from the March 15 terrorist live stream earlier this year. And the statement was, pair charged under Films, Videos and Publication Classification Act. Statement to be attributed to the police spokesman. Police arrested 2 people in Christchurch today in relation to alleged offences under the Films, Videos and Publication Classification Act. A man has been charged with 2 counts of distributing an objectionable publication and 1 charge of failing to carry out obligations in relation to a computer search. A woman has been charged with distributing an objectionable publication, failing out to carry out obligations in relation to a computer search, and obstructing police. They have been bailed to appear in Christchurch District Court on 31st of August 2022. As these matters are before the courts, police have no further comment to make. I was thinking, we might have to get ourselves a reporter up to Christchurch for that day. So that then turned into a report on the Herald, but that's basically just repeating that. I then contacted Byron and said, Byron, can we confirm any of these things? And Byron actually pointed me to Counterspin's own Telegram, and this is Counterspin's own Telegram saying Counterspin hosts Kelvyn Alp and Hannah Spierer arrested. So this is Counterspin's. Now, the reason I put in the write-up to this episode, there are some credible and not so credible sources. I almost take Counterspin themselves saying they've been arrested as not a particularly credible source of information. Because as we know, many places need to cause sort of conflict to then fundraise off the back of it.
I was literally just going to say that. Yeah. How can they make money off this?
Yeah,
always
exactly.
On the grift.
So whilst they themselves say that they've been arrested, police have seized computers, phones and cameras. Counterspin director's home was also raided with equipment seized, awaiting further details. Then later on, so that was at 7 o'clock tonight, and then at 8:20 tonight, Kelvyn and Hannah have been released. We'll update once more. We have more information. From there, so we're still kind of going, in my head, I'm kind of going, let's be careful what we say. Let's, this is alleged. But from there, I guess the one media outlet that's prepared to jump into the water is stuff.co.nz. Hosts of far-right media outlet Counterspin reportedly arrested and charged. The founder and hosts of far-right media outlet Kelvyn Alp and Hannah Spierer have reportedly been arrested and charged with distributing an objectionable publication. A police spokesperson said 2 people, a man and a woman, were arrested on Thursday night in Christchurch. They did not aim Alp and Spierer, but confirmed the arrest had been made following online posts saying Alp and Spierer had been detained. Right, so there's a confirmation that they were detained. In a statement, police said the 2 people were also arrested for failing to allow officers to search their computers. So that'll be in that what we just read. They were bailed and will appear in Christchurch District Court on August 31st. Now, I guess this kind of goes to show, not this, but yet earlier this year, Counterspin published online excerpts from the March 15 terrorist live stream. The couple were involved in the anti-mandate movement, etc., etc., etc. We know all that. Fire and Fury documentary, they were a focus of that. Alp, a former soldier, had multiple failed political campaigns, launched Counterspin, yada, yada, yada. Goes on and on and on. They shared the information, or Kelvyn Morgan shared the screenshot. And this is the bit that I also thought shows the serious nature of what we're talking about. In 2019, white supremacist Philip Arps was charged over sharing a video of the March 2015 terror attacks in Christchurch. He had sent the video to 30 people and was sentenced to 21 months in prison. So my first thought, then you guys can get out of it. But based on this idea of being able to fundraise off the back of this, I hope that the police if this is indeed the situation, have got all their ducks lined up, because if they're going to make an arrest and they're going to make allegations, they need to make a conviction. Because if they don't, these guys will make a shit ton of money and get a shit ton of publicity of this. So all I'm saying out loud is, I hope and I expect they do. They've got all their ducks lined up, and that if this is what's happened, which it looks to be pretty confidently now, that it then gets followed all the way through to the correct conclusion, and not something that could be used by these guys as a fundraising mission akin to, saving the whales by Greenpeace. That was my first thoughts. But how about Byron? Do you want to jump in because you've just joined us? What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah. Essentially, like you've just been saying, Counterspin is going to use this to promote themselves and to present themselves as victims, victims of the deep state, victims of the communist tyranny or whatever. And so that's why it would be good to be a little bit skeptical at first when they're the only ones announcing that they have been arrested. When I saw those initial screenshots and things, it was very much like, let's wait till we get some confirmation. And then, of course, we got that from Mark, and then the stuff in the Herald and so on. So we now know that, this is one of the rare factual statements made on the Counterspin Media Telegram.
The rare ones, the rare accurate ones.
Yeah. Stop clock and all that. So yeah, I've been skimming through some of the comments on there, and there's already, I think that first thread has 350 comments, second one's 150, and yeah, people are making all the kinds of claims that you'd expect. A lot of them are blaming this on the Fire and Fury documentary that Stuff put out a week ago now, wasn't it?
Couple of weeks, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, yeah. I think this has quite possibly been in the works for longer. I mean, if the police had a warrant to seize equipment, to search computers, I mean, they would have had to get that from a judge. They would have had to, do all that. I doubt that they've just seen the documentary and suddenly got everything together for that. I think this has probably been a long time coming, to be honest. And as is mentioned in that Stuff article, they had shared excerpts from the Christchurch shooters live stream, and those excerpts were part of a so-called documentary claiming that event was a false flag. That documentary itself was pretty quickly classified as an objectionable publication. So, we don't know for certain if this is the objectionable publication that they have been arrested for, but it's what's the most likely explanation? I'd say this is the most likely explanation.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, looking at this, the link that you just sent us right then, Byron, now the media is saying police have arrested them. So even that, and the Stuff one was a little bit less than that, but have arrested them. Now the allegation is what the charge is. But I don't know if that means officially confirmed, but now media are saying police arrest and charge far-right Counterspin Media peer in Christchurch. So do we say that's confirmed? We're certainly saying that's what the media is now saying is confirmed. Sina, got any thoughts?
I'm just going to have a sip of those salty right-wing tears. Yeah. I think my aroha, when I think about them being done for showing those objectionable things from the white supremacist terrorists, I give my aroha to the Muslim community, first and foremost. Yeah, thinking of them. And I think police probably been working on this since February, hopefully, but you're right. I hope the case is robust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think what Byron just said about having to have warrants and that kind of stuff. I mean, police don't just go to a judge and say, well, we're not entirely sure. Let's have a crack. And the judge goes, yeah, sweet as. There needs to be an evidence and proof and saying the likelihood of this being there. So that when I say I hope they've got their ducks lined up, I'm not being defeatist. I'm kind of going, actually, I'm probably more going, within the court system, sometimes people get diversion or sometimes they get charged and found guilty, but they don't get sentenced. Like I just want to make sure that this can't be spun as, it wasn't us. Yes, we had to, so often in these cases, people will say, well, I had to admit my guilt because of X, Y, Z, but I didn't really do it. I just hope there's no way that they can kind of spin that sort of yarn. Yeah,
that they've got them well and truly in a box with nowhere to go. I guess it's always been the hard thing with these guys is that for folks like us that look at these guys so much and go, how are you getting away with this all the time? Where is the action? When's the shoe going to drop on these guys? Nobody's doing anything. Is that you don't know when something like this is going to happen. And I guess this is why I'm taking so much glee in it, is because it's been so long coming that, they've been fucking around for so long, and that now it's finally find out o'clock.
Yeah. Fuck around and find out.
100%. So yeah, it's going to be something to follow over the coming weeks, and I just hope they hit them hard.
I'm interested to see if people like the Free Speech Union are going to jump up and defend them. What do you think? Because
I wasn't thinking of them, but you know what I just thought? We talk a little bit about Plunkett's platform here, and they had Alps on this week. I wonder if they're taking that video down. I wonder if they're a bit worried about the interview that Michael Laws did with Kelvyn Alp this week, where he was spouting a whole bunch of, I don't know if it was this stuff, but certainly maybe that's going to be part of the evidentiary thing against them, the interview on the platform with Michael Laws.
Oh, that's sweet. It's like Alps. I can't wait for his live to come out, because he's like, his politics like steroid rage every time he opens his mouth.
I mean, if the reports are to be believed, and they've scooped up their phones, their servers, their laptops, and all of that sort of stuff, they don't have the ability to put the show out there, which is great. But what is on those devices that hasn't been broadcast? All of their communications and who they're talking to.
Yeah, gosh.
It could be an information goldmine.
It could also possibly be the means which has stopped a terrorist attack or violence. Yeah,
potentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the history of Kelvyn Alp is. Sorry, Chewie, you go, mate.
I was just going to. It's hard to overstate how important this could be, and the hole that it could blow in a whole bunch of the I guess alternative right-wing media. There's a lot of links in there that could be there.
Yeah, actually, as you're saying that, Chewie, and I'm thinking, the January 6th committee in America at the moment, how they're pulling all those threads together from various devices and people, and linking that person with that person and that person with that person. And if they've got, I mean, you could argue why do they want to stop them getting the hard drives? Because they may argue we didn't do anything, fine, but maybe the reason's more going to be because there is some pretty heavy shit on there as well that they know is going to be, like, for example, I received the massacre in Christchurch. Someone Facebooked me the manifesto, and it was in my inbox. I never read it, I never saw it, but what I did see was all of a sudden it was gone. And so through the government and through Facebook, they'd got into my messages box and they'd removed it because it became an illegal document. So therefore, even if there's stuff like that through their computers, that's going to be like super serious, because it's illegal to possess those sorts of things at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that'll be, I would guess, if they've got an edited or say doctored version, that you'd have to have the full version there, which is the real issue. I think if you've got, I'm not sure what the law comes to if you've got an excerpt or an edited version of the original. But
I think it's all objectionable. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think in this case, this supposed documentary was made in a country where it's not illegal to have the footage, which I think is most countries other than New Zealand. Actually, it's the classification office here that's deemed it objectionable, and so then the documentary was released online, and then that had to get its own classification. So the documentary itself is objectionable. If that was what they had, that is an objectionable publication. I mean, chances are there could be more than just that documentary. We don't know yet, and hopefully that information will all come out once this goes to court.
Oh, look, I think one of the things that I'm most interested in is what Chewie kind of intimated, which is I wonder what's in there between all these groups or between whatever else. That's going to be fascinating as well, if there is indeed some of that stuff in there. So I guess,
but there's a lesson there. You can't keep shit talking about violence, making death threats against our journalists, against politicians, against people that disagree with you, and be really arrogant and flippant about it all the time. Yeah, You can't do that to people. So, yeah.
I'm just going to highlight a comment from the chat right now because someone's teasing my Christmas present early. Sam Smith asking, is Damien Dement next? And you just can't play with my heart like that. Oh, that would be glorious.